hear us. We're out in the wilds of somewhere in England. Thanks to the lack of transport into London today, we're doing a remote live stream. Let us know if you can hear us. There's Con taking some pictures.
Oh, hi, I haven't noticed you here. I was just taking pictures in the wilderness.
You were very casual, very, very casual indeed. We haven't brought any long lenses, so we've gone with our favourites. Well, our like travel. So Con's setup is a Z, what is it?
24-200. I've got Z7 today instead of Z6. And there was vanilla one, version 1.0.
Wow.
And what I've realized that I've got all the CF cards, CF Express.
Yeah.
And my XKD cards, I've got one. I was trying to update the firmware, but I didn't have a card reader. So I spent about an hour looking for. Anyway, at the end, I've got the version 3.5. It's first time, you know.
So it was. You worked hard for that.
Yeah, it's basically a mini Z9.
Well, now that it's got version 3.5. So I am running my trusty Z6 with my all-time favorite 50 f2.8 macro lens because, of course, in the woods, what do you take pictures of? You take pictures of mushrooms and moss.
As you do.
As I do. Yeah, we've been out for a little while already and it is already very, very cold. Please feel free to pop your questions on. Good afternoon to everyone. Con was reading out all the places where you are in the world today. And we appreciate you being here with us and coming along for a walk. Where we've had Sweden and
we got
Montreal.
Yes, even South Korea as well.
Even South Korea. So hello to you all. Thank you for being here. We are currently in Buchan Country Park, which here is the current views. I bet that this place is spectacular in the autumn. I actually haven't seen it in the autumn, but it's nice. It's very calm. It's very tranquil. Apparently the sun is shining in Colorado, so we're missing out on some sunshine.
And it's minus 30 somewhere in Canada, I believe.
Minus 18 in somewhere. I've forgotten where you were. There it was minus 18. Good morning from the state of confusion. Russell said, I love that 50 macro. My partner is borrowing it at the moment. Might be his now. See, that's what happens when you loan your camera equipment to your partner.
You gotta love mushrooms as well at the same time, because you got 50, you gotta photograph mushrooms.
That's right. Well, I've already found some things I want to take pictures of, but you've been very busy.
All right, do you want me to hold the torch then?
You can. You can even flip the camera around if you want to show the view of the duckies.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Doing
let's
their thing.
See the views.
I've got a vision in mind for my shot.
So I got a bit of a scenery here. So the birds are quite far, but 24-100 is good enough to get me closer, and that's where I think it's nice to have a high resolution camera like Z7, because if you don't have 600mm, you can still crop with your Z7, well, at least more compared to your Z6, which is 24 megapixels. I can see Becky found some mushrooms in there.
Fungi.
Ah, mushrooms. All right, let's see what you got there. All right.
So you see them? Yeah, lovely.
Difficult to see because they're quite blended.
They are, but then when you look at the back of my camera,
sure.
you see the back of my camera?
Okay.
You can kind of see what I'm going for here. Now I think I'm a bit overexposed. I'm actually, for some reason, I think when we were filming, I had it on auto ISO, so let me...
So I assume you're shooting RAW, not JPEG today, just because if you're overexposed,
silly. Yes,
you
of
have
course
a lot more
I am.
room.
Of course I am. So I want a kind of underexposed look. The thing that I love, there you go, you kind of get the feel of what I'm going for there.
Look at that.
Bob says he's been offered two 800mm f6.3s this week. You must be on the waiting list on more than one place, Bob.
Well, I guess they're coming in then.
Yeah, looks like they're starting to come in. We're still contacting waiting list people, but if you're on the waiting list, then you will hopefully get a message before too long that they're in stock. It's sort of 3 to 4 week wait now instead of months wait, so it's definitely gotten better.
Well, some good news at least.
In recent times. Look at that lovely shiny L bracket. I don't know who said that, it might have been Sam. But yes, it's very...
Is that the Zelda?
Yeah. No, Zelda? Is it the Zelda for the Z6? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't bring it because I just thought we're carrying too much stuff today, but we were filming a little bit
We
before
were.
the live stream, so I just didn't want to add the extra weight.
Speaking of extra weight, I think between us and our camera bags, we've got.
Yeah.
We are all right standing on this little platform here.
All right, but you're trying to get a shot with a 50 of the birds over there, but I've got 24-200, and I'm sure I'm going to get the shot.
You will. Now, the thing is that we did a little review of all the 50s, and we know that the 50 macro is not a great performer at infinity, unfortunately. I know that. I still use it. It's not really a problem, but if you're looking for the sharpest 50 at infinity, the 50-1.8 is a fantastic choice, and also the 50-1.2 if you can stand to carry it. But the 50 macro is very, very decent. For Dave, who was asking where we are, we're at Buchan Country Park. So that's kind of in the southeast. Oh, you did a good job there.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Let's see if we can see.
Well, look at that.
There we go.
You know, I always have troubles with a white feather. You always need to underexpose.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I do prefer optical viewfinder for compared to the electronic one, because in the electronic viewfinder, they will look overexposed. And then as well, you can adjust the brightness to the lighting conditions you have, but it's very difficult to judge. So I always shoot slightly underexposed, and I can always leave shadows in the highlights. I can't blow the highlights and then just recover them later. So
No.
here's some
That's right.
wildlife photography wisdom.
It would be a good day for a polarizer, actually.
You
wouldn't
think?
it? I think so, because of all the reflections.
That's true.
I think it would cut out some of the reflections, but that's great. Having that 24-200 is really, really handy. I have to say massive thank you to Vince for your contribution
Thank
to
you,
the
Vince.
coffee fund. I have my gloves. It's not actually that cold, Yeongjun.
It's what, 12 degrees? It's not bad.
Yeah, it's 11 or 12. So it's not terrible. Nige said, can we have a stream on the S3 and SP? Yes,
It's coming.
it's on its way. It's in the works. Does require quite a bit of preparation. Also, we just sold our SP, so we need another one.
All right, tell me the name of that one.
That's a cormorant.
That's the word.
Yeah.
I call him comrade.
Comrade. It's your comrade.
Yeah.
There's not as many birds out as you. We could have come here to do the 600mm review.
Yeah.
Less
but
geese.
I think Tilgate is better this way because Tilgate has a fairly small lake
Yeah.
and all the birds, like they're all there,
Yeah.
lots of swans. So yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do that. We went to the Seven Oaks Wildlife Trust for the 600mm f4 review, which was fun. Richard's Z9 is being delivered today.
Fantastic.
Congratulations. So, yeah, we went to Seven Oaks Wildlife Reserve. If you know any other good, apart from the Wetland Centre, because we've been there and it's fine, but it can be quite busy photographer-wise. If you know of any other places in England,
Yeah, 1 hour from London. That's the only
Drop us-
requirement.
drop us a rec.
Yeah, not from central London.
No.
From South London.
From like South London or the outskirts, yeah, for sure. Let us know. We've got a few options of where to go. We're going this way.
Yeah, it's like
Good.
an RPG. We're
Hopefully,
following the
yeah, it is a
crest.
bit. Hopefully, the signal is going to keep up with us here, because we are kind of in an area where there's not any mobile phone towers or anything. So Con is Rainham Marshes in Essex, right off the Thames estuary, and just off the A13. Rainham Marshes. I'll make a note of that. Thank you for the recommendation.
I think I can see Vizsla. No, it's not a Vizsla. Okay,
It's a brown dog.
it's a Rhodesian, I think.
I'll take
I have
your
a Vizsla radar.
You do.
Here we go, here we go.
There you go. Get it in
Ah!
flight, in flight.
And that's why you need a Z9, I can tell you that much.
Just for the swans. Dorset Swan Sanctuary. Dorset's like a 3-hour drive at least, but a lovely idea. I do love Dorset. I would live there given the choice, but it's a bit far from the shop, so I can't, unfortunately. Terry said on my doorstep. I don't know if that was the Dorset Swan Sanctuary that's on your doorstep, Terry, but very, very nice indeed. We also have another little special announcement today.
Yes.
I can't find it. Try not to break. Sam said do a road trip. Do a
Road trip.
Stream the whole time while driving. Yes, Paul, I know where you are. Your part of the world's very, very nice. It's lovely. Did you get a shot?
Nothing to be
Not
proud
yet.
of.
Can you hold that for a second?
Yes.
Thank you. You have to hold it so
Yeah, I was actually I've started to take shots, and then I've realized, well, actually, I have to go to about like thousandths of a second.
You're right.
So,
Thank you very much, Ilmiko.
yeah, you got a beautiful scarf.
Lovely scarf. I like my
I
stars.
have a beautiful scarf as well.
It's a snooge
but no
you've
one
got.
says anything about it.
So today, 7 Artisans have announced this little thing, and they actually sent us one, and we did a video on it. Didn't know when it was going to come out, so we had it in our archives for a while.
Yeah, for about 2 months at least. Yeah.
And it was announced today, so we're going to put out the video after the live stream. It should go out at about 4 o'clock. Now, this is a body cap lens. Don't know if you can see that. They call it UFO lens. So it's an 18mm f6.3. They did do a version for, what did they do a version
Well, they did
for?
one for Sony, and it was Mark 1 version. It's about $60 lens. So,
Yeah.
And it's 18mm DX APS-C, 6.3.
Yep, fixed 6.3.
Yeah.
So you get it in this little baggie like this, and then if I take it out, now we don't have a DX camera with us today. It doesn't come with a lens cap or anything, but that's it.
Yeah.
That is the lens.
So if you remove the rear cap, so just to see how tiny that is.
Look, it's so little. So it's literally the thickness of a body cap and a half, a Z body cap, and it will go on any Z camera. If you put it on a Z6, then it will automatically crop to DX. So that's what we did with it. Our sample shots are on the Z6 with the crop, and you can put it on obviously a Z50, Z30, ZFC, any of those. But it's sort of the cost of about
$60, I think it's on their
4
website.
body caps.
Yeah, exactly.
So for 4 body caps,
Yeah.
you can get a body cap that's a lens, basically.
If you buy a lens cap made by Sony, Canon, Nikon,
Yeah.
Leica, you're gonna spend 25 quid or so.
That's right.
So yeah,
David sent us a picture of the, what was it, 2-meter icicles hanging off his roof on Instagram.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We saw those. That is quite something for sure. So on this lens, shall I put it on the
That's
camera?
what I'm thinking.
You waiting
yeah.
for me to put it on?
Yeah,
Couldn't-
I didn't want to interrupt you. So.
Thanks.
I was waiting for my moment to slip this in. Like, oh, do you mind to put it on your camera?
I'll put it on. Give me one
I just want to,
second.
I just want to kind of show the size of it.
Yeah, do it without getting too much dust and
And again,
dirt in it.
6.3. Normally, I think the what's called the body cap lenses, they're f11. So this is 6.3. Obviously, at $60, it's not going to win any awards in terms of sharpness, but it's going to be better than a pinhole. And the Mark II version apparently is better than Mark 1. So
Yeah.
I think on something like a ZFC, it would work quite well.
I'm just looking to cover up the back of my lens.
And obviously, your depth of field is going to be quite large, so you can just, do a bit of street photography with it. Just shove the camera in the face, take a quick shot.
You can. I'd say a massive thank you to Jean and to Chris for your contributions
very
to the
much.
Coffee Fund. Coffee Fund is open. So when we live stream remotely, we can't put the PayPal me link, but if you are signed into YouTube, then you can obviously contribute that way. Russell said that'll look great on the Z30 ZFC. It'll look really, really good on the
Yeah.
ZFC actually.
Yeah.
So just to get, I have to put the crop on.
Where's the lens back here? Where's the lens?
It's there. When you don't have the crop on, do you want to can you see that? Can you
Crop
see
on,
that?
crop off?
When you don't have the crop on, can you see the vignetting around the edges there? It's quite interesting. So it kind of looks like looking in through a little circle.
The vignetting is quite mild. Yeah.
Quite pronounced.
Easily correctable in a Lightroom.
But then when you, I've got focus peaking on, but whether or not.
I mean, it does vignette even in a crop. I mean, it's been designed for DX, but it does vignette a little bit. But it, again, we're talking about $60 here.
Yeah, and it's just, as I say, it fixed to 6.3, so you don't stop down your aperture. It does make it look a bit like a pinhole camera. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
You said that some of their sample images were kind of interesting, that they looked.
When they've launched it and the pictures they've attached with the newsletter, I was like, wow, that like we may have got different lens, because the images they provided, they look nice. They
That was
look
the Sony
like,
version.
they look like, a lot like taken with more expensive lens.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think for $60, we have to kind of, keep the expectations for $60. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to compare it even with something like 28 Pancake that Nikon has. It's
No.
going to be on another level. But it's what I think it is like, yeah, if you're going to replace your body cap and you just have it there, so it's just there, and then when you need to put another lens, you just swap them over.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a really good way to look at it. From what I remember, it's quite, because we did the review on it a long time ago, I think it's quite nice and sharp close up,
Mm-hmm.
but then the further away you get, obviously the softer it gets, as with all lenses. So you can have a little play with that, and then I'm going to put my macro back on. Thank you to Terry for your contribution
Thank you,
to the
Terry.
coffee fund. Is your arm getting tired
Yeah.
yet?
While the country is striking, we are out in the woods. You know.
We're making lemonade out of lemons.
That's right.
That's what we're doing.
So
It's very, very rare that there are 0 trains into Victoria, like
Yeah.
0, but there was nothing.
So,
Nothing into London
yeah.
Victoria, nothing into London Bridge.
So yeah, we both live in the south. So we
Yeah.
either come to Victoria or London Bridge. But so when there's a strike on one line, you normally can get to another station and
That's
then
right.
make your way via the tube or walk. I remember about 10 years ago, I used to live in, not 10 years, a bit more, in Brick Lane.
Yeah.
And I used to go down to Tower Bridge when there was a strike. And there was a tour boat
Oh, yes.
that would bring people to Westminster, and then I would walk from there. So they give you basically a tour for free, and then you can leave them cheap, you know. And then you walk from Westminster Pier to Victoria Station, basically. So that was fun. But this time, you either drive and pay 30 quid for parking, or you just go to the woods and do a live stream from there.
Which is what we've done in this case.
Exactly.
I'm going to answer Mind the Mud.
Yep.
Going to answer some of your questions in just a second, because I can see that there's some coming up, but I can't. They disappear too quickly.
Okay. Why won't I give you my phone?
Yeah, good
so
idea.
You can see that, because I can't do both anyway. So
You
there we go.
can't? Ooh, nice 160p quality there. It's because we're in the forest, isn't it? Fun. Okay, so let's have a look.
I saw some people fishing on this lake. So you can fish on that side, and then
Yeah.
you can't fish there. I want to fish. Like every time I come home, see my parents. You know, we always go fishing for a day or two,
Easy.
just for fun. You know, not a big fishing or anything like this. You know, but
Night
It's always
fishing
good times.
deserves a quiet night. That's immediately what I
oh,
thought.
you can swim in here, right?
Is
that what
not
it is?
allowed in this swim.
Ah, okay.
I don't know if you'd want to swim
No.
in a cold lake. Okay, so Liam said it's nice to see, was about to say it's nice to see someone in work. is that here, us, because we're working, we're not striking.
No.
Yeah, maybe.
No. And actually, our members of staff who actually made it to the shop today, they're there. So if you need to order something, just give them a call.
The shop is open.
Yeah.
We have some very committed and wonderful sales staff who are doing a fine job of handling all the
It's
inquiries.
the media team, which is a bit lazy, you know, so can't come into work, you know, for any reason.
So Graham said, how about the British Wildlife Centre near Lingfield? Now that's a really good option. I have,
Yeah. How far is it?
it's not too far,
Okay.
but I inquired with them. Their photography days is that they're like £200 or £150 for one photographer. So
Yeah.
we wouldn't necessarily do that, but they do allow you to take pictures. They're just only open for general admission on the weekends. And so that would involve bringing my whole family with us to shoot, which could be so much fun. Having experienced over the years many times where I bring my kids with us to shoot, it's not always the most productive.
Well, or even adult half of the family
Or
as
even
well.
adult half
they don't
family.
really have much patience. for
They
those
don't,
things.
they don't. Okay, so Nige suggested, actually said, I need an S3 or something to tide me over until the Z8 50. What do you recommend? Z8, 50, not comma.
Was that 8 versus the 850?
No, saying I want an S3, which is a rangefinder, completely different
Sorry,
camera.
I missed the whole question. So there's that because I was like, oh, let me swap the camera and just show the view to everyone, and then I just didn't listen to the question. Okay, say it again.
Okay, so Nige says, I need an S3 or something to tide me over until the Z8.
Yeah, get an
50.
S3, get an SP, S2S. You
So-
know, any of those are good.
The SP is a perfect rangefinder if you can get hold of one. The S3 is also an excellent choice. The beauty of the SP is that it has multiple focal lengths in the rangefinder, so you don't have to buy an optional rangefinder for the top. It actually has the different lines.
Yeah.
But both are wonderful cameras. So S3 or SP, I would say.
One thing I've learned with my recent experience with Leicas is a different rangefinder patch. So on Nikon, rangefinder patch is kind of a circle which is kind of blurs out on the edges. And on Leicas, you have a square patch with the clear edges. So it just will require, well, the focusing is the same. It will require, like when you're looking through the viewfinder, just checking if the subject is in focus. But that's what's the main difference between the cameras.
Yeah, so you can pick up, Nigel, an older S2, for example, or an S, but the patch is going to be very dim.
I think
it's just an age thing.
The SP one is the one that allows for the most lenses, so like from 28. If you want a 28, I think it's the only SP.
I think you're right.
And the 3 starts at 35.
That's correct.
Yeah. So.
So Terry's contribution to the Coffee Fund said something towards your train fare to Rainham. So trying to get us to go to Rainham, which is fine.
Where is Rainham?
In England.
Thank you. That answered my question.
I couldn't point it out to you on a map. No,
west, east.
It's east as far as I know. Yeah.
So towards Dover, I guess. Yeah.
Don't think it's as far as that.
Okay.
I think it's near Essex or in Essex.
Okay.
Okay. Does that help?
You know where we should go? You know, the Dungeness.
Oh yeah, Dungeness is
so
great.
Cool. Yeah.
Went there, took the kids on a family holiday in sort of Dungeness Rye area. It's actually a really nice area.
And the lobsters there are cheap. I can tell you that. I'm coming every year just for the lobster.
No vegans in the chat.
Yeah.
Nige said 1666 Fire of London walk. Start at the monument. See, I've done this.
Well,
walk.
you had an idea to the Square Mile walk, right?
Yeah. So
could be
Monument, Pudding Lane to Church Ruins to the east of the fire, up to the west and Fleet Street.
I mean, in terms of walks, we've done quite well. It's our second walk this year, and it's only early February.
That's right. Yeah, east. Thank you, Nick.
It's London Zone 6. Okay, that's good. That's, I can do that.
Hever Castle is beautiful.
Yeah, that was fun.
You do have to get specific permission to film there because I have been there and filmed there, but it is a very, very nice idea to do that. Hello to Tim from Illinois who said, love your show. We are so pixelated. So I could be pulling any faces right now. Nobody would know. Okay, so then Len points out, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Please do if you haven't already. Yep. We've got 198 people watching and 80 likes.
We're going to call it 8-bit edition.
That's right, this is a special 8-bit edition. Hopefully the sound, at least, you can hear us even if you can't see us.
Yeah, our homage to NES, Nintendo Entertainment System.
That's right. Apparently it looks like the Blair Witch Project woods in the background.
Yeah, I've done already a couple of takes, so yeah, you watch our Megadub review, it's literally the first second.
Yeah. So there's actually, Nick said Elmley Farm on Sheppey is great for birds. That is quite a long way away.
But we love farms.
But we do.
Cows and pigs and sheep, it's nice.
Yeah.
And you know, in the old barns.
It's apparently minus 19 degrees in Chicagoland.
Wow.
Jared, I feel for you. It's not that cold here and my fingers are freezing.
But it's a bit nippy, like it's kind of gets under your skin. But we are what? We are our second hour here, right? Or something.
Yeah, we got here at 1, so it's third hour actually. We're in our third hour here. Go chase some deer around Bushy Park. You caught kestrels there before. Well, Graham, thank you for the tip. Thank you also to Ian for your contribution to the Coffee Fund. Another place which is fantastic for deer is Petworth, which is actually beautiful for deer, and you can get reasonably close. So I'd like to go back to Petworth, but I always drag Con to these historical houses and then he gets annoyed because I'm like, look, history.
I like the outside bits, not the inside.
Yeah. Nicholas said it's minus 27 Fahrenheit in Vermont, which is, I can't even fathom how cold that is.
It
that
is
must
cold.
Be ridiculously
it is
cold.
It is cold.
I'm waiting for snowdrops and bluebells and daffodils. Well, a bit early for bluebells, but daffodils and stuff. I'm sure that at some point they'll happen. In the meantime, we're doing fungi.
But you know, I would enjoy rather have, let's say, -5 and snow, so it's nice and dry and crispy, instead of like kind of muddy wet and it's like 0, 1 degree.
Yeah. Yeah, 72 in Florida. What's that in English money?
20 quid.
I think it's...
I know that 90 is like, 100 is like 35 or something, so...
Yeah, so it must be like 18 or maybe 20, something like that.
The only thing I remember...
I'm really guessing.
When I lived in New York, I live in Brooklyn, so every time I'd have to take a D line, I think, to cross the bridge to Manhattan.
Oh, yeah.
And you pass there, and I was on one of the skyscrapers. There was always a time and the weathercast. So I was always like, oh, what's 96 degrees? Or like, you know, what's that?
So you had to translate it?
Yeah. always.
Always. Yeah, I still can't mentally figure it out, but I will get there one day.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your phone, there's internet, on it, so you should be
Exactly.
fine.
So I can usually Google things.
Yeah.
What happened to the days when we could figure stuff out in our heads? So the last time I was here, both of these lakes were completely frozen solid.
Okay, so
It's like a pond, they're ponds,
so this is the
technically.
new lake that is on
Pond.
one side, and then there's another.
Oh, don't lose them.
And there's another pond over there. Not many birds today. I think they're on strike as well.
Yeah, I think that the birds have decided not today, not interested in
today,
being
no.
photographed. Just as well I brought a macro lens. So Nige said with Alexa integration, we could use our cameras with gloves. For anyone who's watching at home with a smart speaker, you Alexa, take my photo. Hopefully not everyone's Alexas.
Yeah,
Suddenly
I
just
think
started-
last time I asked to play Casalina, and then people got mad in the comments. So I'll do it again now.
Yeah, right now.
Alexa. No.
Oh dear. She who shall not be named is what we call her in the house when we don't want her to listen in.
Imagine if your name is Alex or Alexa. Like it
I've
sucks.
got a
No, can
friend
you change it?
whose daughter is Alexa.
Yeah.
I really feel for her.
There's some nice fungi
some
over there.
great fungi over there, but way too far for
Way
me
too
to
far.
capture.
Yeah. It's somewhere there, but you won't see.
You won't be able to see. It's too far away.
On those.
It's way too
trees.
far away. Oh, there's a bench here. A fortuitous bench.
It's nice to find a bench.
It's
We just need to find a coffee machine.
Yeah, I think we're walking in the wrong direction for a coffee machine.
That's fine. I got my
Somehow.
thermos.
David Roberts' daughter-in-law is named Alexa. There we go.
How does she cope with the presence of
This
Alexa
must be quite difficult.
in Alexa's household?
So, because the front cover of the live stream did say we were going to talk about our favourite lenses and we're going to talk about the relevance of the Z6 in 2023.
Okay. So it's good that I brought my Z7.
It's great, and Z7 as
And
well.
Z7,
It's like
okay.
the same age. So these cameras came out in October 2018.
Wow.
Now
it's been a
that-
while.
Is coming up to 5 years, isn't it?
Well, if it's October now, it's like what, 4.5 is
Yeah.
gonna be like, but still, yeah.
So they're not that old, but people always seem to kind of go, oh, I will disregard the Z6 and the Z7 and I'll go for a 6.2 and
Yeah.
a 7.2 or...
I think the reason why people don't think that they're so old is because Nikon keep updating firmwares for those.
Yeah,
I mean, we just got version 350 came out, and that's been what, 2 weeks ago?
yeah,
So, you know, they tend to support their cameras.
and keep going, except for the elephant in the room.
Yeah, which we're not going to mention.
We're not gonna
since,
talk about.
You know, but the comments are open. And,
And you can mention them.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very true. And I will say, I've never been or found myself feeling like the 6 is lacking, and that's why I haven't updated to the 6.2, because at this point, I don't really see a point. I'm just checking. We need to go that way.
Yeah, okay.
Just so we don't get lost in the woods and we're still here next week. Trying to figure out how
That's
to
the
get in.
last live stream. Yeah, I do feel that 24 megapixels, for me personally,
Yeah.
is I would want to upgrade to Z7. So from that point of view, I think just from cropping capability for general use,
Yeah.
you know, obviously some people need for printing capabilities, etc. But just from cropping, you can get a 45 megapixel Z7. Price difference between the two is smaller than it used to be. So for me personally, I think if I were to update camera now, I'd probably get Z7. But obviously, we are looking at possibility of Z8 coming out this year, hopefully. And then
Yeah.
I think the decision will be made there based on specs and, you know, of the camera.
So Locke and Kai just did a video on the used Z6. I guess I haven't seen it, but I guess they're talking about the merits of.
I think they did a kit under £1,000.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely in terms of value for money, the Z6 is phenomenal technology.
Exactly. For video functionality, it is better than the Z7
Yeah.
as well. So if you're a video guy or just starting out, it's a fantastic camera. I know a lot of people kind of disregard Nikon as video cameras, but they're wrong. That's all I
But
can
they're
say.
wrong.
I think it's to do with, you know, Nikon not doing well for video during DSLR time, even if they came out with D90, which was the first DSLR with video functionality.
Yeah, although that's a very weirdly kind of fixed and narrow-minded viewpoint. It's a bit like saying, you know, I can't think, it's like Sony are not very good at producing cameras because they were late to the game with producing mirrorless. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the video market is like another group of people, so we don't want to really upset anyone. But
No.
I think the point is, if you use Nikon cameras before, current Nikon cameras will give you video functionality if you need it. If you're a videographer and that's your bread and butter, then your perspective is going to be different, and I understand this. But if you're still a photographer and need video functionality, mirrorless cameras from Nikon right now are very good. And obviously, again, if you're going to start stock Z9, I think it competes with everyone else at this stage in terms of video.
Yes, exactly. Nick says, my Z6, great camera, is up to 185,000 shutter actuations and hopefully keeps going until the Z6 III.
Here we go.
Now, Gav said, better investing in S lenses than bodies, and likely the case for a good few years to come, such as the quality of the Z6 and Z7. Both cameras are now fantastic used buys.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine how many as well, like once Z8 comes out, how many, let's say Z6 and Z7s we're going to see as well.
Yeah,
coming
we saw a lot of, I mean, we had a massive amount of Z6 when the Z6 II came out. Do you remember we had so many and we thought, gosh, are we ever going to sell these? And now we haven't had a Z6 for months because...
We had, what, 20 or 30 Z6s at some point.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. It remember when the D850 came out and we had so many D810s.
Yeah, that's right.
Like coming out of our ears. That was good fun.
When the D6 came out, we had about 16 D5s and we thought, gosh, that's a lot of D5s. And again, all of those went. It's very true. If you can invest in S-Glass, you won't be disappointed because those are completely future-proof. Although I will say that I have some very cherished F-mount lenses that I will continue to use. Like you've got the 85-1.4G.
Yeah, I'm not selling it.
That you're not going to get rid of.
I mean, 85-1.2, that is, coming out this year is going to be expensive, and I don't have, I can't justify the purchase as of yet.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we'll revisit, maybe the price will go down, maybe we'll get a nice used one and I'm gonna get the first kind of dips on that. But at the moment, I think 85-1.4G is definitely with me to stay, and I already sold my 24-70 f-mount. So
yes, I know you did.
I've got the S version.
Seth is in the house. He said, okay, I'm here.
Hello,
you can
Seth.
Start now. We're doing special...
Finally. We were warming up the crowd for you, so yeah.
This is a special 8-bit edition, Seth, because we're out in the wilds and it is getting a bit chilly. So Michael said, do you think there will be any more firmware updates for the Z6?
To be honest with you, if they stop now, I think I would say,
You'd be happy?
I'd be happy. It's like a footballer, he's got good 5 years with the club, and then last year, his legs are gone. And,
you had a good run.
Exactly. So I think from this point on, if we see another firmware with Z6, it's going to be great. But I think we had version 3.5. That's pretty good. And I think the camera in terms of feature set is quite complete. But we also had a podcast last week or 2 weeks ago where we asked you for the features. So there were comments with another features to be added to the camera. So, there are features to add, so they can continue. But if they stop now, I think it's been a good run.
Exactly. Maybe they'll stop updating the Z6 and Z7 so that the 6.2 and the 7.2 can be updated. And on that note, Liam said, I really love my Z6 II. Yes, the lack of updates is slightly frustrating, but as a whole, it's a brilliant camera.
Yeah.
So is the Z7 II. When the Gen 3 cameras arrive, I wonder what to sell. It's a really good point. I too would be in a little bit of a quandary as to which way to go. If they bring out Mark III versions, my desire would be to go for a Z7 Mark III because I had 45 megapixels in the D850. Then I sold it and got the Z6 because I was like, we need it for the video capabilities. Yeah. And now I'm hankering after more megapixels, but it's not necessary. It's just nice to have. It's just very nice to have. So when we shot with the 600mm, we shot with both the Z9 and the Z6. And obviously with the Z9, you've got a lot more cropping power in those files. You've got more data to play with. That is really, really nice.
I think for prints, maybe if you're printing 13 by 19 or something, 24 megapixels is probably going to be good enough. But the screen resolution of your monitors, of your TV screens, of your phones and tablets
Yeah.
is increasing all the time. The density is increasing all the time.
Yeah.
So suddenly, like, I have a 4K monitor, and suddenly those 24 megapixels are not big enough for me to zoom in further sometimes. So that's where I do find that technology of other things is pushing the resolution of the megapixel resolution. So otherwise, if we're just talking the numbers, yeah, you probably, if it would stay at 1080p, 24 megapixel would be good enough.
Yes, exactly. So Dave said, of course I'd love a Z9, but it's really too heavy, bulky for my two key use cases, street/travel. So Z8 or next gen Z6/7 makes far more sense for me. I'm in the same boat as you,
Yeah.
absolutely, Dave. I think Z9 is a beautiful camera, but it's quite bulky, and when you want to carry other gear and you don't necessarily want all the weight to be in your camera, then that's a bit of a limiting factor.
Yeah, but for people who need it, it's superb camera. It's the best camera from Nikon right now. But yeah, the same. You haven't bought Z9, I haven't bought Z9.
No.
The size is the big issue, and the price.
And the price. A little point of the price as well. Manila Martin said, pretty happy with my Nikons. For me as an event shooter, I'd love to have more on-camera flashes that would work with the Z system. Yes, we had a whole discussion about this.
Yes, check out this week's podcast.
Yeah, we talked a lot about flashes. So that's, but that's a very, very good point. Albert said he said, wow, it's great to see you two enjoying the outdoors and bringing some variety to the live stream. This is our normal Thursday. This is what we do.
Exactly, exactly.
We go out in the fields.
It's a location day.
It is our location day. We try and do as much as possible out and about. We do all those reviews that you see on the weekend and those videos you see on the weekend, those are usually filmed on our Thursday. But because of the train strikes, we're able to do a Friday. Paul is asking, is that hot toddy?
It's not coffee this time.
No, I was going to say, it doesn't smell like coffee.
I'm well caffeinated, so it's just a Rooibos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes, I had mine in the car on the way. The legendary Nikon thermos. It's actually...
right.
It's actually just a sticker, but
Exactly, just buy a regular thermos and then go order stickers from places like Redbubble. That's all you need to do to make one of those.
That's right. Thomas said, I hope for an update of the Z6 and Z7 firmware for unlimited video capacity.
Yeah, that's the one I think may not happen. I don't see why not, but at the same time, I feel like it's not going to happen. I don't know why. Maybe because they're not really keen on to change a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's a big one
Yeah.
for a lot of people. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just my gut saying. If they come out, that would be amazing, though. Yeah.
Yes. Seth got very excited about stickers.
Yeah, still coming.
We got some more. Oh, we had to get some more because we
I
ran
feel
out.
bad because we've promised, but it
No,
is.
we do
Yeah,
have
we
more
actually
coming.
talked about it yesterday, and Royal Mail was hacked, and all the international shipping has been suspended.
Yes.
So, but it's on the desk.
It will happen, Seth.
It will happen,
We
and I will
promise.
text you. I will text you.
We do promise. So Lee said, I check my photos from my old D750 on a 55-inch 4K TV,
Yeah.
and they still look really good and sharp.
It's not about looking at the full, as a full image, but if you need to edit something, again, it's very different. Let's say if maybe you photograph in nature, well, even nature, I mean, a lot of people, landscape photographers, go really deep into editing. But if you're doing portraiture, if you're doing some other work that requires editing where you want to zoom in and you want to edit the tiny details, that's what we're talking about. For general use, it's probably fine. But, if I need to crop, I'm 24-200 here. I need about 400 mil to get the bird, to feel the screen, basically, to the
Bird
frame.
photographer now.
And suddenly I am, kind of well-known bird photographer.
Yeah,
because
very
I've,
famous.
in last 2 weeks, I've shot more birds than I've done in my whole life. But the idea is, if you need to crop in, suddenly resolution is not good enough. That's the thing. If you got the shot, which we all want to do, straight in camera,
Yeah.
it looks perfect, then you're absolutely fine. As soon as you need to start to crop in, that's where we start to deal with those limitations. And I think, as I say, if it would be at 1080p screens, it wouldn't be an issue. But once you start to go to 4K resolution, basically, let's just make it 4,000 pixels. I know it's 3960 or something like this, but the file from Z6 is 6,000 pixels wide. Yes? So it's only 50% larger.
Yeah.
So if you want to zoom in 100%, it's not going to be a big magnification.
No, it's not.
So that's the answer, but there's no right and wrong. If it works for you, stick with that. I'm talking about my personal experience more than anything else, and I'm not trying to convince anyone to update to a higher resolution camera.
No, and I will say that the D750 in terms of a kind of just an overall performance camera for me was really a sweet spot, I would say. I loved the D750. The D850, when I upgraded to it, I was like, wow, files are so big. What am I is when you're shooting in a wedding or an event or something and you've got just hundreds of shots from the end of the day. But for my personal use, I really loved the D750 and the files.
I have another point actually, the future proofing. Remember when we got our first cameras and they shot in 480p? You got your family camcorder and you shot in 480p, and suddenly if you start to look at your videos at 480p on your 4K screen, suddenly you start thinking, that wasn't good enough, you know. So if you started to think about future proofing of your imagery, let's say within 10 to 20 years, again, from that point of view, you probably want to get as high resolution camera as possible, you know.
Yeah. Beta Keratin asked this question. I don't know if I fully understand it. Do you guys use the joystick to pan around when reviewing photos? So I'm just trying to think. No. Depends on what your joystick is set to.
I haven't got my PlayStation DualShock.
Are you talking about the arrow pad, or
like
are you talking about
thumbstick
the
or D-pad?
thumbstick? Yeah, I'm confused. But anyway, I would love to know. Leo said I am shooting nature and cropping. So there you go, each to their own.
That's the thing. I don't want to start the war on megapixels, really. It's,
No.
you know, whatever we say, guys, like, we don't want you to get it on the fence. We're not trying to offend anyone. You know, unfortunately, the nature of the internet makes you feel like that. But, you know, like, honestly, we just talk about our personal experience more than anything else.
Exactly. Nicola said, isn't the D780 the same as a Z6, but in disguise as a DSLR?
Very underrated camera.
It's a Z6 in DSLR clothing. Yeah. Basically, yes. In live view, it's a Z6. In viewfinder mode, if you like, it's a DSLR. And it's, as you say, a very underrated camera. But what they're missing with the D780 is firmware updates to bring it up to the level of the Z6. So we need more firmware updates for the D780 so that in its Z6 mode, as it were, it performs like a Z6.
I think that's the thing. I mean, with DSLRs, we had a lot of analog things because they were there for so many years. And by releasing the mirrorless system, they can bypass a lot of limitations that they had. And that's why I think we could see improvements on Z7 and Z6, and we don't really see as many firmware updates on D780.
Yeah, which is a shame. It is a shame, and I think that also because maybe that's because of the amount of units that are out there in the world. The D780 is one of the most under-promoted cameras that Nikon have ever made, second only to the Nikon One system, I think. And it's such a shame because it is a really good camera. I've very much enjoyed using it in every instance that I've had the chance to. But the D750 was my camera at the time. Like, I owned one of those for many years and loved it. Baxter points out that resolution is handy for client work, to give the art director, etc., to crop for publication. For general work resolution, it's lack of issue.
Any commercial job I would do right now wouldn't shoot on 24 megapixels, but that's me.
All the
Everyone is
resolution.
you know.
I have to take this bag off. It's got so much camera gear in it.
Even, okay, like events, maybe, yes, events. That's the only thing. Yeah, weddings, events, but again, for weddings, if you need to print big, if the couple requires, you know, but for events, probably, you know, not often, I agree.
I will be honest, like, I don't think I've ever had a single bride and groom that have gone, oh yes, I would like to print my picture of us out on a 16-foot billboard.
It's like on a Sicilian bubble bed or something,
Like, usually it's, I would like a photo book, maybe a couple for the frames, but they're not bigger than 10-inch.
I think if, let's say, like, if you talk professional photographers, you would have probably two cameras. One is like your high res, whatever, you know, for some commercial studio work, and then one which is lower res, and it's basically used for the shots where you're going to take thousands of them and they won't require very high magnification.
Yes.
You know,
now,
pixel size.
Someone remembered this from, there was actually, I think Seth hosted an evening with Matt and Rishi, right? And Rishi was talking about the higher resolution, the greater the diffraction.
Yes.
If you have not watched that live stream, it's still on Seth's channel. You should definitely go and see it. It's very, very Very
Yeah.
informative.
I think, yeah, Rich's point was at 45 megapixels, the diffraction becomes quite noticeable, starts to be noticeable at something like f8, f11, and how do you balance that? So once you go over this, it even becomes more pronounced. So therefore, diffraction reduces the image quality effectively, but you get a higher pixel count. Now, from that point of view, I think it makes sense maybe to jump to 100 megapixel small medium format sensors offered in Fujifilms and Hasselblads.
Yeah.
So if you got GFX 100 with 100 megapixel sensor, I think it's absolutely fine. We obviously, with the places like Phase 1, I think they're already at 150 megapixel sensors as well. So who knows? I don't know if we need to go that high.
Not on that size
you know,
sensor. I
yeah.
think that would be a bit ridiculous.
Yeah,
You'd have to have a bigger sensor.
But you know me, I do like 100 megapixel resolution, so.
Yeah. So here we go. I'm going to read this comment just because it's funny. Christoph said, I'm out of the updating game. You know what? Sold the Holy Z Trinity, reinvested in a ZFC.
Nice.
Black, can't mention that one because we don't have it.
Doesn't exist.
And this brought me to analog, thanks to Konstantin's moaning about film photography, and I love it.
Job done. Job done.
Mission accomplished. That's great,
Exactly.
Christoph. So Dennis asks, does it make any sense to upgrade from a Z7 to a Z7 II? I would say, if only for these reasons. If you specifically need the second memory card slot, if you need hot charging, so to be able to charge your camera from the mains without taking the battery out.
Which is useful if you're streaming a lot.
Yeah, it is useful. If you need the compatibility of a battery grip that functions as a vertical shutter button as well, because the Z6 and Z7 don't have that, then yes. But for general overall image quality and performance, I'd say you're not going to see a big difference. It's the same sensor. Focusing is a little bit better. That's it,
Yeah.
really.
Z7 II is a better camera than Z7, while
Yeah.
Z7 is very close. If you need a camera right now and money is no object, you can go for that. However, Z7, especially second hand, is a fantastic bargain. Also keep in mind that we potentially may see a release of generation 3 of those cameras, probably end of the year, not the first half for sure at least. So that could bring a lot of features mentioned Z9. So, you know, there's a lot of things like this involved. So the question is how urgent you need the camera.
Yeah, how urgently do you need to update? If you're happy with your Z7, then I would say stick with it, basically. For now, as Jared points out, higher resolution will reveal lens faults. It's very true, just general lens faults. I mean, my manual focus lenses still look good on my Z6, but if I were to put them on a Z7, I know they wouldn't look as good. Way more fringing.
It's not a clear cut.
No.
It's not a clear cut. There are pros and cons for all of them. What I can tell you, if you look around forums of other brands, there's a whole massive group of people who are adapting third-party glass to Nikon's as well as Fuji medium format cameras. And they're obviously bigger sensor than full frame, but they do use those Voigtlander 58mm lens is quite popular. Well, it's full frame, they still use the medium format. So, and it's 100 megapixel resolution. It will show the flaws of the lenses, but there's a whole group of people who would use those lenses from like 50, 70 years ago on those cameras and still enjoy them. So it's, again, always depends on your specific needs. And again, if you're going for technical image quality, you want to go for latest and greatest and latest native glass. So if you got, let's say, 45 megapixel Nikon, you do want to go for S native Z glass, because that would basically make sure that the cameras that you have right now will perform well. And obviously, if there's a higher resolution camera comes in, then it will perform well as well.
Yeah, there was an interesting transition period when we went from D3X, which was 24 megapixels, over to suddenly D800, 36 megapixels, and the list of recommended lenses from Nikon was actually quite small.
There was a whole technical guide on D800 as well when they released how to shoot it as well. Yeah,
they added that so that you would know not to stop down beyond f11 with the D800 or f16, I think it was at the time, but f11 is generally recommended. So usually the newer lenses will overlap into other technology. As you can see, we're getting colder and colder while we're standing here, so please give us a like. Would really
Definitely,
appreciate it.
that would help.
Oh dear. David said, part of why I kept my Z6 was exactly the fact that I like the look with my vintage Nikkor AD Rockall glass.
Yeah.
So, and, not AD, and I think it was a typo. Anyway, but yes, it is.
Nikkor, because Rockall is Leica stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's
and-
Konica Rockall, or I don't remember, but yeah, it's a Leica mount at least. Yeah.
Presumably adapted anyway. So that is one of the things that I do find. I mean, also, if you're not a working professional and you're just taking pictures for fun, you can put any lens you like on any camera. We're surrounded by dogs here.
So see, when our eyes lit
We're like-
up, you know,
if we're
it's
just-
not when we talk about cameras, when we see dogs around.
I get very, very happy. And there are just some real gems. Like I've got in my bag 105 2.5 pre-AI converted, which was brought out in 1972. I got the actual date production of the
Such a
lens.
good lens.
Such a lovely lens. Works really dreamily on the Z6.
Yeah.
Would probably look pretty awful on a Z7, but passable. Even on the Z6, when I shoot with my 55 1.2, you can't shoot that lens wide open. I mean, you couldn't on either, but it's far more forgiving on film, and you kind of think
Yeah.
you're going for that dreamy look, whereas on
Yeah.
the Z6 it just looks soft.
Well, that's the thing. We kind of every photographer is in a different stage of their photographic journey. It's like we're in our rangefinder stage right now, so we all like rangefinders and everything. But also old vintage lenses. For me personally, character lenses right now is my thing. I really enjoy them.
Yeah.
If you saw 40mm f1.2 Voigtlander review for that mount,
Fell in love.
I fell in love with it. The rendering that this lens produces is fantastic. So everyone is different. So there's no right answer to anything. So feel it, try it, see what you like, and then stick with this.
Yes, that's our advice to you. Nigel said, I bought 3 new G lenses with my D800 and now have 3 new S lenses with my Z9. Sometimes that's how it goes. Now, David Roberts said, I just got a 28 f2 pre-AI converted
Nice.
to AI and love it on my SLRs and digital.
Where
So-
do you convert those lenses nowadays? Tell us.
Yeah, so David, I don't know if you're US or UK based, but if there is somewhere in the UK that does it, then do let us
Yeah.
know. I know that there is someone in the States that does it.
Yeah, but it's not a conversion kit that you can use to sell, right?
No,
So
those
it's-
are long gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
long gone. So it would be someone who actually takes off the mount and files it down and makes it notch in the right place. So I've got my 105 is an official conversion kit. And so was my 28 3.5, which I eventually
Yeah.
sold for a 28
You know
f2.8.
what? That's why I'm looking to all this 3D printing stuff that's been developing right now, because
Do you think you could 3D print an AI ring?
well, you can now 3D print in metal, and that's you know
Yeah.
the things we talk on the podcast where Nikon bought SLM and finally got it took over last week. Finally, it's a 3D printing company, but they print in metal. That significantly reduces the manufacturing cost. With those things becoming cheaper and cheaper, it will allow basically artisan manufacturers, small manufacturers, to produce limited runs of maybe new film cameras, but I think a lot of them will start with certain parts that will allow us to replace broken parts on our film cameras.
yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
they're going to
that'd be
start
very
there.
cool, wouldn't it?
Exactly. All it allows us is to reduce the cost of manufacturing, and you don't need to produce millions. So I think we'll start to see that once the cost of production goes down, we start to see more of those things popping up.
Yeah, 3D printing in metal will make a world
Yeah.
of difference. David says, I bought it that way from Japan, mint condition, so that's very nice.
Nice.
Can we walk a bit? Because I am
Yeah.
absolutely
Let's do.
frozen.
Let's do. Let me just
There
finish
is-
that guy.
There is a cafe. You've got tea now, but
Yeah. Okay.
there is a place for
Well, you know what? If you
bev-
shove this in one of my pockets on my
I'll do
big
it in this
design
one.
backpack, here's a product placement. Hey,
Yeah.
big design strap. Hey.
Mine's all matchy-matching
Yeah.
today.
Yours is a lot cleaner though.
No, it's not.
No, okay.
I mean, maybe it's a little bit cleaner than yours.
That's a 20-liter version, by the way. So
Yeah.
it's not the big one. Hello.
Hello. Did you lose your owner?
No,
No, there we go.
He's like, I'm checking on you guys.
It's just making sure, seeing what we're doing.
All right. So let's
Um,
see. We're just gonna. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to figure this out. Okay.
What's
we're getting
happening?
it.
Ah,
Here we go. I'm one-handed
smooth
at the
panning.
moment. Exactly.
Very smooth.
Smooth criminal. Yeah. So we're gonna go to the lake, which is right
I
in
was
front
going
of us.
to the cafe, but sure, you're going to
Okay.
the lake.
Then we found some totem. I don't know. It could be it's one of the things from Blair Witch Project. I don't know.
I think
just sure.
I was thinking more like Zelda.
Yeah.
That's where my mind went.
You know when you open the chest.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Christoph found a genuine kit for the 300 f4.5. That's an AI kit. There are some places where they still have one lurking around, you know, in the back.
Yeah, you will be surprised what people have in their garages or attics.
Yeah. In fact, we had someone who bought a conversion kit for a 135 f3.5 from Nikon Spares and had it sent to the shop.
From Nikon Spares?
Yeah, Nikon Spares had it.
Wow.
And
impressive.
I thought it was impressive. I thought it was kind of amazing that they had that. During this time of year, you want to take pictures of all the like crunchy leaves and things. David said, I need a grey sticker similar to tote bag design to join the other stickers on my Mac Pro laptop. Well, I am getting more printed, so don't you worry. It's very difficult to do this one-handed. One moment, please. I'm on AFC.
Can I ask you for a favor?
Of
Can you
course.
shove this cup on top of my thermos and then I'll hold things?
Ed said, get a coffee, Becky. I will.
Yeah, but we're going straight to the shop.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, because I'm just starting to freeze. I think it's on.
Awesome.
Hopefully.
Okay, so now I can take a phone from you if you want to do some photography.
Want to actually take some pictures. Well, what I was going to say, because we've got a few minutes left, so we've got some stickers, some more stickers coming. We're doing research into other merch because we asked you last week what merch you would like to see. So I have been doing some research into that in my spare time, of which I have so much. Thank you to Jerome for your contribution to the coffee fund. Very much appreciated. John wants a GOW thermos. I think that's a wonderful idea. What's a buff? Oh,
That guy.
snood, I call it.
I call it neck warmer.
A buff. Yeah, it's pretty cool though. That's a good idea. It's a brilliant idea. So we've got some of that stuff going on. We've got some very exciting live streams planned that do require some preparation, but before too long, we will do one on rangefinders, I promise.
Oh yeah, and photography challenge. Yeah, so send us some of your film photography and we will discuss it. Probably not at the end of this month,
Because you're not going to be here.
because I'm going to be somewhere warm. But maybe probably like a second week of March. So the deadline has been extended.
Yeah, so second week of March, if you can send us so we've had some people send us pictures. We've also had some people send us digital pictures, like they've been taken on digital cameras.
We don't want that. Not for now, at
Not
least.
for this one.
Yeah.
But for another challenge, we will definitely do a digital one so that everyone can be involved.
Well, the next one is going to be digital, yeah. But
Exactly.
maybe we'll call it we'll make it a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
Because it's more of digital people, I assume.
That's right. And so the film one really is for you folks that haven't taken out your film camera in a little while. And we just wanted to make sure that you gave it some love, basically.
Exactly. If
For
it's
the
just
beginning of the year.
Exactly. If it's collecting dust on the shelf, go get some film. Get black and white. It's not that expensive. So I think like HP5 is about £6 on the internet. So that's reasonable.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So
Vahan said nature walk and talk with Grays. Very cool.
Hello, Vahan.
Hi. Does an Instax photo count? Yes.
Yes.
That's film?
Exactly.
Totally.
I mean, what's interesting about the digital, like film photography being more expensive, it depends how much you shoot. Yeah, if you're shooting like 1,000 rolls a year, then get a digital camera. But if you do an occasional roll, you can pick up cheap, film reasonably. Nowadays, you probably have to buy in bulk if you want to get good prices on color. Black and white film is more or less available. And yeah, like Campme is about £5, HP5 is about £6, Kodak is a bit more expensive, but it is possible to shoot film for fun.
That's right. Without it costing you a fortune. Dave, the email address to send your picture to, because we can't put a link right now because we're on a phone, is media@graysofwestminster.co.uk. That applies to any of you who want to send us a picture. We're going to collate them at the end of the challenge and then discuss them on a live stream. So that's kind of the whole point. Going over the main road now, so it's a bit noisy.
Yeah, it might be a bit loud, but...
Then Nige said, what will come first, the Z8 stream or the S3 SP stream? I think the rangefinder stream. That's my thought.
And now I'm pretending I'm thinking because I'm pretending I know the date of the day coming out. I'm like, not sure.
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
All right, let me give you some highway view. Well, it's a motorway. Look at it. So it's going to be good fun for long exposures. Maybe we should do a long exposure video here.
I was singing AC/DC.
Yeah.
Just for anyone
You know.
who can hear that over the traffic noise.
You see, that's a viewer. He recognized me.
Okay.
Like, I know.
So Michael said, have you heard of the Holga medium format plastic cameras?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Let me take that. Hit our hour.
We've hit our quarter basically, so we're done.
He kept pushing the button to flip the camera
I know,
around,
but it
and
wasn't flipping. It wasn't flipping. It's not my fault.
And we're almost at the cafe, so that makes
Yeah.
me happy.
Blame Apple.
Anyway, so yeah, Sam said can't argue with AC/DC. I just thought I'd, bring that.
That's
to
right.
you all. Dave said when I swing by the shop for my next Z body later this year, I might pick up a tote bag. Yes, you should. You can buy them online as well if you don't want to wait that long. And that's it, really.
That's it.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your contributions to the Coffee Fund. It's been a fun hour.
Yeah.
We really, really appreciate you being here.
When is the video coming out on the 18 meal? Is it like at 4:30 or something?
Yeah, in about 45 minutes.
In 45 minutes, you can join. That's going to be our weekend video. So there's not going to be a video on Sunday, but there's going to be a video in 45 minutes.
That's right. Anyway, have a great weekend. Or we'll see you next week.
Yay! Bye-bye.
Bye.
You need to hit that.
Yes,
You
I
need
do. You need to stop walking though. There we go.
Okay.